Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Camel, joined this hour by my good friend and my arch nemesis, Dr. John Deloney, best-selling author and host of the Dr. John Deloney Show. You can listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube as well if you want to see John's face.
It's a glorious face. And hey, we have a wild studio audience today, so it's good to see everybody out
the
there.
Camera can't even pan to capture all the people. It's just too many.
It's pretty wild. It's good. I don't know. I thought you guys had a job or something.
If you want to visit us, we have room. That's all we're saying. This is the dead time after people's winter break. They're back in school. They're not
Here's
traveling.
What's so good about you, George. You're able to look at a situation like this and not immediately get existentially down on yourself.
Well, there's millions of people listening. Not everyone's going to tune in to a radio show live from a lobby, but I want to let them know we're here.
That's very true.
And we appreciate you all tuning in. The number to call is 888-825-5225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life, your money, your relationships, your mental health, you name it. Melissa kicks us off in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey. How you doing?
Glad to be here.
We are so glad to have you. What's going on?
Well, I just found out that my husband's been giving my brother-in-law a large amount of money. I knew we were giving him some, but I just found out that it's a lot more than I thought. And he did kind of come clean about what he thought he'd given him. He's not been keeping track of it, but it's been in the thousands, and he's not been holding him accountable or anything, just giving him the cash.
So what did you guys agree on originally when you talked about this and you said, hey, I'm cool with this, it's going to be how much a month?
We didn't really agree. He just, he would, I knew that my brother-in-law needed some and he had given him some, and I don't know that we didn't really sit down and say, okay, this is what we need to give him. I just knew that he had given him some. We all have the same account. He and I have the same accounts. We all have each, the login. So I could have logged in and kind of found this out early. I just don't typically check behind him like that because I've never had the need to.
Are you frustrated at yourself? Are you frustrated at him, or at both?
I guess both, but I know my brother-in-law is in need. I just don't. He said from here forward, he will tell me everything that he gives him. We'll agree to it and all that kind of stuff. And
I think that's a recipe for disaster for you too.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think you need to set up a set amount on this end of it, and a set of values for which we will put money towards, and those which we will not. Because him just telling you what he's spending, you are going to slowly, the resentment is just going to start moving up like a thermometer until it finally blows, and he's going to look at you and say, what? I told you. Mm-hmm. And you will have felt like you were setting money on fire in the living room. And so I think you guys need to have the hard conversation, you and your husband, that he didn't lie to you, but you don't feel like he told you the whole this is out of character for him to give somebody $5,000 or $10,000 and not mention the number, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit shady. And if you called him on it, he would say, "I told you I was giving him money." And so here you are. I think you turn all the lights on, you turn the music off, stop the party, and say, "You gave $10,000. This is out of character. You knew deep down that I would have had a problem with how much you were giving him. And if you say I wasn't keeping track, come on, man." And so,
no, we did have the conversation. We did go through all that.
Okay.
And he did. And basically what he said was, I was wrong. I should have never done that.
Good for him.
And I said, this is so out of character for you, because it really is. Or so I thought. We've been married nearly 25 years. And I said, it's just, he's always had a good mindset about money and accountability. And, he agreed that we have just one daughter and she's grown, in her 20s. And I said, you would never just give her thousands and not make her accountable. Why is it okay to give your brother that? And he just feels really sorry for him. And I do too.
Get that.
And so I don't really know this, point forward,
I would
should
say,
we hire like a third party to
No.
sit down with us with him?
This is about y'all being grown-ups. And I'm going to put words in your mouth, so feel free to not use these exact words, okay? But I would say something along the lines of, hey, I've had a couple of days to think on our conversation. I'm really grateful that you took ownership of what you did. That means a lot to me. And I'm not in a place yet where I feel safe. And make it all about you. This is not about him. This is about you. Mm-hmm. I don't feel safe just saying we're just going to do this however, whenever. And so let's come up with a number that we're going to say this is what we're going to give him. And let's talk about when we're going to give it to him, how we're going to give it to him, why we're going to give it to him, and the conversation, husband, you need to have with your brother about this is it. Or we will come back to the well, but he's going to have to make a presentation to the family, whatever makes you feel safe and comfortable. But let's put some boundaries on this thing. Let's put some very clear parameters on this before it gets going any further.
Melissa, there's 3 steps. Number 1 is what John said. It's between you two and communication. And what happened here was you had a thought that you thought was communication, but there was no expectation set out loud. And so we need to do that, number 1. Number 2, he needs to have the conversation with the brother, setting the boundaries of what this looks like. Very clearly what this looks like, when it's going to end, how much, all the things John said. And number 3, you guys need to get on a written plan, a budget that both of you have agreement on, that both of you look at every month. It's not he does it, I look at it once a month to see what happened in the past. That is a recipe for disaster. And so I'm going to gift you every dollar premium for 1 year to make this really easy for you all to do a budget every single month and stick to it. And then it becomes, hey, guess what? That giving to the brother, it was in the budget. So there's no money fights about this anymore. It's that simple.
That sounds good.
Is that cool? And before we let you go, Melissa, are you an Alabama fan?
I have to be living here.
That's true.
I don't have a choice.
You can't be swimming upstream.
I was hoping you were going to stand strong, but I should have known, Melissa. I should have known.
We love you anyways, Melissa.
We love you anyways.
Wow.
Right.
Well, this is a very common conundrum where money and relationships get involved, and it usually stems around communication.
Well, and also I think she called something out that's really important for everybody listening. The roles we play in our life are almost always environmentally specific. What I mean by that, I had a reputation in my professional life of being really frugal, like obnoxiously frugal, always coming in on budget or under budget. In my private life, my wife is like, wow, you are a co-host of Ramsey Show, and this is how you do this.
Big dog.
So he was a financially secure guy. He always was really diligent and intentional. But when it came to the love between him and his brother, he kind of went crazy and became somebody he didn't want to be. So when you catch somebody in a different role, let's bring them back to home base and say, this is who we're going to be moving forward. And this is my expectation for you. And I love that. You got to write it down. You got to be clear. And then you got to move on.
That's wisdom. Hey, more of your calls coming up. 888-825-5225. This is The Ramsey Show.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined this hour by Dr. John Deloney. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in, we'll talk life, money, mental health, relationships, whatever is on your mind. Amber joins us up next in Seattle. Amber, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What's going on?
Okay, so me and my husband, we grossed last year $84,672. We've been debt-free since 2017, so that's pretty good. But we kind of got sidetracked a little bit as we're in 2023 and we're still working the baby steps. So my question today is, we both have a whole life insurance policy. We pay $7,548 a year for this policy.
Ouch.
Yeah. So at best, my husband would get, I don't have my numbers in front of me, but he would get $600,000. No, sorry, at worst, because there's the paid up additions. I'm sure you guys know about those. But with that, so at worst, he would get $600,000. At best, he would get $1.269 million. And that's in our policy, we would get the paid up additions or that cash value. That paid up additions would be added in, so that's part of our policy.
So if you canceled it today, what would you get?
If we got cash value today, it'd be $32,000.
Okay. And what's your question today?
So that's the cash value. And I mean, his would be, so we're right at that 6-year mark. So his would be, the death benefit would be $219,000. So My question is, my gut is kind of telling me to cancel that as soon as possible, use that $32,000 to finish up our baby steps, which is $5,451 to finish that up. And then we'll have a fully loaded emergency fund. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But, having some reassurance is always nice. We also have a term life insurance policy. Both of us have $400,000 each for that. I've talked to the rep, and he kind of recommends getting a little bit higher and canceling that $400,000 one, and then doing $500,000 for me and $750,000 for my husband.
Is that closer to 10 times, 12 times your incomes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the move, and make sure that you have those term policies in place before you cancel. And I think you're exactly right. What you're feeling right now is the emotion of sunk cost fallacy, where you went, we fell for this thing. We've been paying so much into it, and we could have had 1.2, but now we're going to have $30,000, and this sucks. And this is what we call a stupid tax, where you go, that was dumb, shouldn't have fell for it, and I'm going to get term life. It's going to be a fraction of the cost. What are you paying for term life?
It's like $530 a month right now, or a year, sorry.
A year. That sounds more like it. And so right now you're paying $625 a month for those whole life policies. And you could be paying $500 a year for the same amount of coverage. Yeah. And so with the difference, you can use that towards the baby steps. The amount that you're saving every month, you can go invest that. You can use it to live your best life and not fall for these stupid whole life scams again.
Yeah. I guess my next question would be, once we have gotten that third baby step, we rent right now for about $1,200 a month, which is pretty much unheard of in Washington.
That's a good deal.
And it's a 4-bedroom. Yeah, it's a 4-bedroom house with like some,
Oh my goodness.
So my husband's a teacher, and he kind of gets some benefits through working at the school system. But so I mean, it's a really great opportunity as far as our rental is concerned. But we want to eventually buy. So because we don't have that mortgage, where do we keep putting money into like the baby steps, the 15%, and slowly building up a down payment? Or do we just shove a bunch of money towards a down payment?
So we have a baby step that's hidden in there called baby step 3B, where you can save aggressively for the down payment before you start investing if you'd like. And so if you can do that in under 2 years and have that down payment in place, that's great. Some people go, you know what, I'd rather get started investing. I'm going to invest up to the match, and whatever's beyond that, we can put towards the down payment. Some people go, I'm going to do all 15%, whatever's left, we're going to put towards that down payment. Obviously, that's going to slow you down a little bit on the down payment side, but it's all about your goals and how quickly you want to get into a home. And if you're happy with your rent right now and you'd rather get to investing, you can split the difference.
And Amber, while you and George were talking, I ran a few numbers here.
Love when John does math.
So the world needs Deloney to do more math. So let's say you had $0 in investments, and did you say it was about $7,500 a year y'all were putting in?
Mm-hmm.
Is that each or just or individually?
Total.
Total,
So,
okay.
For both of us, yeah.
So if I divide that out by 12, that's $629 a month, okay, that you're putting in, right?
Yep.
At 10% annual return, which is a little less than what the stock market has been over the last 50 years, you would end up with $4.8 million.
I know. I'm like kicking myself because 6 years has made a big difference of like $1.2 million.
Right, but you see how it just feels like, okay, like max, we can get 1.2. And you can see why Dave is so adamant and has been for years, get out of those products. Because here's the part that's infuriating. Somebody's making 4.8. It's just not you.
Right.
You're going to make 800 and you're going to hand 4 million of your dollars to somebody else, and they're going to say, thank you. I will apply this to my third yacht. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Right? So good for you. Good for you.
Way to go, Amber. We're cheering you on the journey. Appreciate the call. Let's move on to Jackson in Tampa, Florida. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. Woo.
I apologize.
What's
for
up?
that, Jackson.
I was expecting it as soon as I heard John was on the call. I knew it was coming.
I am for
I almost
real.
wanted to give you a different name just so John wouldn't have that opportunity.
Hey, man, my name rhymes with the lunch meat, dude. We're all on the same team here. What's up, man?
I just was wondering, I know Dave recommends mutual funds over like the low-cost index funds. And from my limited knowledge, I was thinking that the index funds typically outperform when you take into account the fees. So I was wondering kind of what the math is behind the recommendation.
It's a great question, and it's one we get a lot around here. And we actually just recently had a meeting where we actually walked through the numbers on this, and it was showing us the charts from the last 30 years. And truthfully, let me just say this, Jackson, up front, you can be a multimillionaire either way. And so this is a very nuanced conversation. We're not talking about crypto versus index funds or single stocks versus mutual funds. We're talking about something that is very similar, where you have a group of stocks all together, and the index is just saying it's going to be passively managed, which is why you have a lower cost on your expense ratios. That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir. Yep.
And so with the actively managed mutual funds, there can be an upfront fee, there can be a higher expense ratio. And the idea here is there are very smart people actively managing those portfolios and choosing those stocks in order to beat the index. Does it beat them every time, every year? No. But can it over time, and can you choose the right ones? It's definitely possible. And you can pull the numbers, a lot of different ways. But
I thought that was it Vanguard. Somebody just came out with a study, and again, I don't want to misquote somebody, but it was an index fund company that came out and said, "Hey, they beat us by 3%," and they were honest about it, which is really cool. They had a
study that said if you work with an advisor, that you will have on average, I think, about a 3% higher return.
Which I hold in high esteem. I hold them in high esteem for having the courage to come up and not bury that. Right? They said, "Hey, we have a great product here, but if you get with a good team, they can outperform us."
Isn't that almost the opposite of what's been kind of in the past?
As far as what?
Like Random Walk Down Wall Street, like if you read the book Random Walk Down Wall Street or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, there's the Bogleheads out there, there's the people who follow kind of Warren Buffett's train of thought, and if you just put your money into a Vanguard index fund and do that consistently, then yes, you will become a millionaire and you'll be just fine. For the people that we're talking to, on average, if they do it themselves, they're going to do something stupid along the way. They're going to pull their money out early. They're not thinking about tax advantages. They're not thinking about estate planning. And so that's why we recommend working with an advisor when you have that level of wealth. There's just more to manage.
And let me tell you this, Jackson. Like, everybody thinks the rules don't apply to them. I'm a pretty smart guy. I've accomplished some cool stuff in my life. And once a quarter, my SmartVestor Pro will call me and say, do not open your mail. You don't need to see it, because then I'm going to start hassling him. I'm going to want to move this and get out of this. And I know not to. And I still, so hard. I can't help it. So I need a coach, man.
It's accountability.
I've got to have somebody in my corner.
Absolutely. If you're just using a SmartVestor Pro to just choose a fund, then you're missing the point. It's way bigger than that. And there's nothing wrong with index funds. We're big fans of those. We just find that you can beat them over the long run. So thanks for the call, man. This is The Ramsey Show.
Y'all, there's a lot you can't control when it comes to healthcare, but there is something you should check out that can help. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not insurance. It is budget-friendly, biblically based health cost sharing. That means a community of members helping share the burden of each other's healthcare costs. They help people just like you in all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, co-piloted with my friend Dr. John Deloney this hour.
Co-piloted with?
That's a word, I think.
Wow.
Listen, this is why you have 2 PhDs, and I'm just a guy, all right?
Nope. I'm happy to be co-piloted with you.
Well, speaking of education, John, BuzzFeed is where I get all of my information. And this article came across the old desk here, and I thought you would like it. As I know you don't look at a lot of BuzzFeed articles.
I'm a huge BuzzFeed fan.
Well, here's the headline. With what money? Millennials and Gen Z are sharing the money tips they think are super outdated considering the fact we're all super broke. Very relatable, very empathetic on BuzzFeed's part. I see why this is so popular. So I want to read a few and get your commentary, if you will. Here's one. Someone said, anytime someone tells me to save money, I automatically roll my eyes. I would love to be able to have a savings of some kind, but with inflation twerking all over the place, it's impossible, especially when my son keeps growing out of his clothes every other month. Even thrift store prices are getting ridiculous. What do you think, John?
I think this is a case of the great Brene Brown says, whatever you go looking for in the world, you're sure to find. And so sometimes instead of staring at the reality, the totality of our reality, and that I realize that rhymes and I should probably be an artist, a poet. If you got to look at all of your reality, including where you live, what you're doing for a living, what is reality for you right now. I wish I had all this extra time with my kids, but right now we're broke and I can't afford that time right now because I got to go get another job. Like in this heartbreaking conversations people haven't have. Then somebody says, hey, you need to pay your bills. You need to work to save some money. It's easy to laser in on that one little word, save, and blow up all of the truth and wisdom in that sentiment because that particular thing doesn't apply to you in this particular hard season that you're in. It's an easy way to avoid reality. And so everyone should be saving money, and not everybody can right now. Both of those things are true. And so if that's not you right now, don't roll your eyes, exhale, and say, I'm going to work really hard and get there, right?
That's good. And that's why our baby steps are one at a time, focused intensity.
Yeah.
So we only want you to save $1,000 when you get started.
Yes.
No more, because it is overwhelming.
And you're going to have to sell some stuff. It's going to be super uncomfortable. Not fun. Anybody who goes into this thing that's going to be a blast is missed the point completely. It's not going to be.
All right, here's another one. Someone said, sell your car and get a cheaper, older one. This is terrible advice. Repairs and unreliable transportation are a financial nightmare.
And again, that's somebody saw the word cheaper, older one, the words cheaper, older one, and they immediately went to, it falls apart and you can't have a cheaper nonsense.
In their mind, they're picturing like a 1970s Oldsmobile.
Right. Or they're picturing a something that's not even real. They're not picturing anything. They're just trying to pull apart an argument, right? What this is saying is, let me say this in a different way. You don't deserve, there's no cosmic right to a new car. There's no cosmic right to the car of your dreams. That's why they call it of your dreams, because it's not real. It's not a real thing.
Well, new cars are an all-time high. And so what they're saying is, hey, instead of driving something older that's going to catch on fire on the interstate because someone drove it before me, I'm going to drive a brand new $45,000 car under the guise of safety and reliability.
Right.
Instead of, I want it because it makes me feel good and I want to look good.
That's right. And this argument is particularly challenging when someone brings it to you or me because both of us are not car people.
We've always driven used cars.
We always drive old used cars. I bought my first new car, I think ever, the other day.
Wow. At what age?
At 45. And so there we go. And I made it, right? And so all that to say is, like, man, you can have a great, wonderful, wonderful, great life with a old, cheaper used car.
Absolutely. And there's no such thing as, well, it's going to have way more repairs and it's unreliable. Do an inspection. Get a Honda or your favorite,
the Toyotas.
And it'll run
What did you used to call them?
Toyota. I do it like Yoda from Star Wars, and James gets mad at me.
Well, so does America.
Sorry. It's my Arabic accent coming out, James. Sorry. All right, here's one for you, John. I'm so sick of hearing that I should buy a house right now just to have one. Maybe that was a great idea a few years ago, but houses in my area are currently selling for at least double, maybe even triple what they were 3 years ago. Also, along with home ownership comes the regular and irregular costs that can range from basic utilities to needing a whole new roof. It's just not realistic or even logical. This one I actually agree with.
Well,
that everyone needs a house and you should be in a house, and why aren't you in a house? And renting's a sin.
But I don't like the first sentence. I've never heard somebody say you need a house just to have one. Nobody says that. That is twisting an argument to make it sound a little bit off kilter, a little bit dumb, so that then you can pull it apart. Just be honest. A lot of people, particularly our parents' age, say if you rent something, you're just throwing your money away. I've heard that multiple times from people a generation or two ahead of me.
Well-meaning people.
Exactly. And in their world, that was accurate. In our world, it's not. Renting is a wise thing. I've rented at every stage of my life. Every time me and my wife move and me and my kids move, we rent until we get set right. So just like you said, you're exactly right. It's not logical or realistic for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Make peace with it. Smile.
And that's okay. Now, should it be a long-term goal? I think it's a great goal to have long-term. Mm-hmm. Does it need to happen tomorrow? No. There's great flexibility. There's great wisdom. You're offloading the risk onto someone else, and you're paying for the privilege of all of that.
That's right.
That's a good one. All right. Have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in your account in case of emergency. That's great. But when I can barely make all my bills each month, what money am I supposed to be saving? So they agree with the advice that you should have a savings account, an emergency fund, but they're angry that people are recommending this as if it's something they can just go do.
And the conversations I've had around this very issue over my career, most of the people in my career that I've hired, it was their first or second job. They were new to the job world. And so there was an expectation that now that I've got this degree and this position at this university, this degree with this many years of experience, the world's just going to hand me this much money. And unfortunately, often this is what this job paid. And so it was less about where's all this money I'm supposed to be saving and more about sitting back and going, okay, I wanted to do this career and I wanted to make this much money. Right now, the world isn't paying this much money for this career. I need to have a hard conversation with, am I going to reduce how much I spend? Am I going to get a new job? Am I going to move? Right? All incredibly hard conversations. But the idea that I went and did a thing, I got this education, I got this training, and I want to live here, and I want to work there, and I want to make this much money. Those three things are not automatic, and they often don't work together. And man, we have a culture that's having a hard time reconciling those three things.
Well, they were sold a lot of lies, and now they're met with a harsh reality.
Right.
And so the gap between those two just keeps getting
I watched
wider.
Friends. I want to work in a retail store, have a 4,000 square foot apartment in downtown where it's just not real.
I've been watching Seinfeld. Kramer is unemployed the entire series, and the guy lives in a New York apartment.
Across the hall from a comedian, right?
Gosh, what a sitcom. All right, last one for you, John. This is very close to home. Someone said the majority of Dave Ramsey's financial advice, especially if you're working on paying off debt. The only time you should see the inside of a restaurant is if you're working there. With the student loan crisis as it is, my $20 meal at a restaurant once a month isn't going to make a difference in whether I pay off $50,000 in student loans. I've paid my loans every single month, and right now I owe more than I originally took out 10 years ago, all due to student loan interest. I'm done with the shaming and being told I don't deserve a life or the ability to be out in public. That's right. That's always been Dave's advice. You're not allowed to be out in public, John.
Yeah, Dave's big on shaming people and telling them they don't deserve a life. I think he's in Cabo right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Living
last we checked.
I mean, again, this is someone who's struggling and is upset, and I'm not going to be mad.
Well, because to them, all they have in life, John, is this takeout meal. That's it. That's all they're left with. But it's a symbol. It's saying, what are you willing to sacrifice right now that will add up to where you have $500 that month and then $600 the next month to where you can be debt-free one day.
$20 against $50,000. That's right. That's good math. That's not how often people go to restaurants. That also doesn't take into account the hours you could be working instead of sitting in that restaurant earning more the other way, right? So anyway, there's a whole different conversation here. This is just a tough spirit to work through. And if you have this attitude heading into any problem in your life, you're not going to get it solved.
This fatalistic attitude isn't going to get us anywhere. So we've got to change our attitude, change our behavior, change our thoughts. We're rooting for you all out there. This is The Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney this hour, and we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225.
Hey, George, this is awesome.
I heard about this news, John.
It's big time.
I'm hoping I can get an invite to this. What's going on?
You will not be invited.
Okay.
Every time I talk about this event, I get more fired up because it's going to be fantastic. Money in Marriage is back, and this time, instead of just one night, it's going to be an entire weekend. We're going to set up a marriage retreat this fall. Me and Rachel Cruz are going to be here in Nashville for the Money and Marriage Getaway. An entire weekend unplugged from your day-to-day life, simply focusing on your marriage. Here's the deal. It's in October. You have time to start planning now. Financially, you have time to start planning for childcare. Figure it out. You got a long runway on this one. And by the way, if you are 3 months into the new year and you've already blown it completely, this is a great way to pick up the back half of your year, okay? I guess the final quarter of the year. We're going to cover things like money and budgeting with your spouse. We're going to talk about connection, sex and intimacy, kids, the whole thing, and we'll get you planning for your future together. And this isn't what you think of when you think of a marriage conference. You're going to learn a ton, but we're also going to give you and your spouse time together throughout the weekend to reflect on and discuss what you're learning. And Rachel and I will be there to coach you and answer your questions. And we've got some rad surprises along the way. This is Nashville. It's going to be fun. We have friends and guests going to show up. It's going to be a blast. If you're listening and this sounds like something you and your spouse need, talk to your spouse about this. Tickets are $6.99 a couple, which is a deal if you've ever been to a 3-day marriage conference. It's a great experience, a deal, especially here in Nashville. $6.99 a couple. Go to RamseySolutions.com/events to save your spot. RamseySolutions.com/events.
Love it. Pumped for that.
And you and Whitney can go. I'll get y'all half-price tickets.
I'll take that. I don't often get a deal from you, so thank you for thinking of us.
I'll get you in.
I hope so. Well, hey, if you're a new listener to the show and you've been hearing us talk about these baby steps and 3B and 6 and what's going on here, we want to give you a deeper dive on this at RamseySolutions.com. All you need to do is click on that Get Started button, and we'll help you figure out what that next best step is for your financial journey based on your situation and where you're at today. That's RamseySolutions.com, and click on the Get Started button.
Sorry about that, man. I sneezed right when you were doing that, man.
It's all right. I'm used to it. I mean, you have a mute button, just for everyone listening out there. John could have stopped it.
It just comes through your microphone, and then somebody's driving thinking they just blew a tire while they're going down the road. That was me.
Oh, boy. All right, let's go to the phones. Adam joins us in Buffalo, New York. Adam, welcome to the show.
George, Dr. John, thank you very much for taking the call. I appreciate it.
Sure. What's your question today?
So, I was recently fired from my job of 14 years.
Oh, man. Can we pause right there for a second?
Go ahead.
What was your job?
I worked for a pet food manufacturer. If you ever gave your dogs like the most popular pet food treats on the planet, I made them for you.
Wow.
Well, on behalf of George's 2 dogs that he treats better than I treat my kids, thank you.
Their food budget's bigger than mine.
Pretty awesome. And in all seriousness, you've probably heard me or Ken say this, but the research data says that when you get fired from your job, it's as devastating to your body as losing a loved one. It's overwhelming. It's hard. And so I know it's real easy to be like, all right, I'm back on it sucks and I'm sorry. Like, just as your friend, I'm sorry.
them first few days were really rough. I pretty much stayed in my room in the fetal position trying to figure out what I was going to do with my future. And that's what I'm coming to you guys with today is what do I do moving forward from this? I don't want to work for anybody else. I'd rather start my own business. I'm not leaving there empty-handed. And I use the baby steps to get myself out of debt and actually save up. And I'm doing well for myself. It's just, what do I do now? I'm lost.
Very cool, man. Well, congratulations for setting yourself up for this moment. So I guess the magic questions are, what do you want to do?
Well, here's the problem. The thing that I'm kind of passionate about and that I want to do is one of the highest failure businesses there is. I'd like to go into the restaurant business.
Okay. Tell me about it.
I was looking at 2 different properties. One's worth about $320,000, and the other one's worth about $250,000. And both of them are turnkey establishments ready to go. One I'd have like a 45-minute commute to. The other one I'd have 5-minute commute to. But one's got a lot better population density and would draw in more people. The other one's closer to home and where I'm more known and have a good name. I'm scared to dive head into this.
You should.
You should be.
You should be. Yeah, you should be. I don't think that being your next move is super wise. I'd much rather see you go get a job in a restaurant and work your way around that restaurant to make sure this is what you want to do before you go sink $250,000 into something. You're going to find yourself. I get it. Go ahead.
I failed to mention, I did work in a restaurant when I was 19 years old. I did bus tables and I washed dishes, and I enjoyed the environment and stuff like that. But moving into a management role and learning every single position, yes, I think the on-the-job training would be smart, and I'm actually looking at that option. But at the same time, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to buy a place that's not going to be there a year.
Do you have the cash right now to buy that place?
Right now, liquid, I'm worth, I have $96,000 in an individual investment account. I have $140,000 in a 401k.
We're not touching that. We're not going to withdraw that to start this business.
All right. And I have $51,000 coming in a pension from Nestle, my former employer, which I was going to cash that out and start the business because that's not really going to grow much more where it's at. So,
but you would get a $51,000 check straight to your account that you can do what you want with.
Yes. So I'm basically worth $150 liquid right now, plus $15,000 in my emergency fund.
So let me say this: if Dave called me right now on my cell phone and said, "Hey, John, a buddy of mine is selling his $10 million property, and he's my friend, and he's going to sell it for $2 million."
It's a deal.
It's an $8 million discount. But I don't want it, but I know you and your wife are looking for some other property. I got this for you. Give him a call, and it's yours for $2 million. I would have to tell him that's the deal of a lifetime that would change my family's future, and I don't have $2 million, so I can't buy this thing. So you've got a deal in your head, and you don't have the money to even close that deal, regardless of whether it's a good deal or not. And I don't think it's wise to do it. I would love to see you spend 6 months, begin to heal from getting laid off, learn the restaurant industry in your area, get tied in. You did this when you were 19. I did stuff when I was 19. You know what else I did when I was 19? I went running a lot. I used to do jiu-jitsu. I can't even touch my toes anymore, man. So, we change over time. I'd love to see you get back in there and slow play this a little bit. You got some money so that if things get tight, you're going to be able to pay your bills. You've done all the right things. Don't race out. Basically, what you're doing is you just got a divorce. Don't run in and marry the first person you just meet. Don't do that. Spend some time healing, spend some time dating a little bit, and then you're going to find somebody.
And talk to other restaurant owners and see how they did it and the ones that you respect. And maybe you scale this thing up. Maybe it starts with, hey, I'm going to do a food truck. I'm going to buy a truck with cash, and I'm going to do this to see if it's a viable option. And then I'm going to scale up to a restaurant once we have enough business. Maybe it's a crowd-funded thing. Who knows what you could do and how much money you could save for the future. But right now, this being like, it's now or never, man, I got the opportunity, that is when a bad decision gets made. And we see these sad stories. You've probably heard of them, of these business owners, and you said the restaurant industry, high turnover rate for these things failing. And when you do it with debt, it just adds insult to injury. Because now you have a failed business and a pile of debt to deal with. And those are the saddest situations.
About one of the properties that was kind of making me lean towards it was there's an apartment above. And if I put $100,000 down on a mortgage payment for this place and rent the apartment out above, the apartment above actually pays the mortgage payment on it. And then I'm playing with house money, right?
Where are you living?
Well, currently right now I live at my brother's house.
Okay. That's not a good long-term plan. I think we got to pause on this whole situation. I want it for you long-term.
I wouldn't
love
do it,
this
man.
dream.
I wouldn't do it. I can hear it in your voice. You're going to do it anyway. I'm just telling you, when this thing goes sideways, call me and George, and we'll be here for you. We're not even going to be mean to you. But the chance of this not working is strong to quite strong, man. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to my co-host, Dr. John Deloney, all the guys in the booth, and you, America. Appreciate you listening. We'll be back real soon. Hey, it's George Camel. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Camel, Ramsey personality, also co-host of Smart Money Happy Hour, joined by my friend Dr. John Deloney. You can catch him on his own show, the Dr. John Deloney Show, which can I say, John, is a great show.
Thanks,
You know,
man.
I regret everything I said on Twitter about it. It really is a good show.
Lucky for you, I was going to say, I wouldn't know how to be on Twitter if somebody
that's
paid
why I
me,
knew.
so.
I knew you would never find it
You
there.
can just talk whatever you want. That's awesome. And I like y'all's show, too. I was honored to be a guest on it. It was fun.
Yeah, it was
a good time.
a one and done. It'll
And
never
yeah,
happen again.
You guys haven't had me back yet, which is super weird, but
it's not
cool.
a guest type show, we decided. Yeah.
After I was on.
After you were the test run, and we went, no,
Nope,
it's better
nope,
when it's just us.
The number of people I dated in high school and college, and they were like, I think I'm just going to stay single forever.
I'm good.
Like, wow, not doing that again.
I love it. Well, hey, give us a call. We're lonely here. 888-825-5225 is the number to call. We'd love to take your questions today. And Brittany has decided to do that over in Miami. Brittany, welcome to the show. How can John and I help?
Welcome to Miami. What's up, Brittany?
Hi, how are you?
Doing
Good.
great.
So I just found you guys. I just started seeing everything about the baby steps and everything on YouTube.
Welcome to the crazy gang.
And you decided,
Right, yeah.
I'm just as weird. I'm going to call in.
Welcome to the cult. Yes, you can be just
I know.
you can be weird
I
with
think
us.
One of my coworkers says I'm spiraling, but I think it's in a good way.
I assure you are. It's all good. Welcome to the gang.
But,
What's up?
So I'm trying to decide. Well, I just paid off one of my loans. But this was before I found the baby steps. So it wasn't my smallest loan, but I paid it off in cash. It was like a $50,000 loan.
Wow, way to go.
Yeah. So because I had a lot of savings and I didn't know what to do with it, and I realized that I probably should be putting it towards my debt. So that's what I started doing.
Good for you.
Right. So now I'm trying to decide the next thing. And I have a car loan, but I also have my student loan payments. And I just realized that with this the pause with student loans, I've still been making payments because there's no interest, but I'm wondering if I should pay off that student loan debt since interest rates seems like they might be starting back up soon instead of the car loan, even though it's not the smallest loan.
Yeah, so baby step 2, the debt snowball method that we teach, smallest balance to largest balance, regardless of the interest rate. But you're saying, hey, it's 0% interest. Wouldn't it make more sense to knock this out while I'm not having to accrue?
Right, yeah, because I just realized that I guess they're going to start it back 60 days after June 30th or something, because I was hoping maybe they'll push it back.
We'll see, Brittany.
Yeah.
They have a history of kicking things down the road, so it would not shock me if they just keep extending this thing to oblivion. But no, I would just attack that next smallest balance, regardless of the interest rate. And it's for a few reasons. Number one, you're going to feel that progress. You're going to get there faster. mathematically, right?
Okay. Right.
And when you ignore the interest rate, it just makes it a lot simpler. When you just have a stack of debts and you go, that next one's next, I'm going to make minimum payments on the rest, and I'm going to sell stuff, use the side hustle money, use my savings except for the $1,000, and get rid of that. So what's your next debt? How big is it?
It's my car loan, and it's like $32,000 right now.
Okay, what's your income?
$195,000.
We love to hear that.
What do you do, Brittany?
I'm an attorney.
Oh, I was going to say, are they hiring? I don't want that. That's bless
you
you attorneys out there.
No, that's a great.
That's awesome. So here's the thing: how quickly are you going to pay off this car? A few months?
I want to try to pay it off. Yeah, within this year. So I want to just attack it. I just started taking. I put 0% for my 401k instead of the 10% or 11% I have.
Wow, you paused the investing. Dude. I'm so proud of you. That's when it gets real.
How much savings do you have right now, Brittany?
Now, after I just made that payment of like $50,000, I have like $19,000 in savings.
Ooh. So if we used, this sounds crazy, I know, but you called the crazy people. What if you used 18 of that 19 and threw it at the car?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't know if I should use it to the student loans or the car, but I guess I got to do the math and see how long it would take.
Well, then you have what, 14 left on the car, and how much are you able to throw at the debt each month? How many thousands of dollars?
I think I could. I'm trying to do the math, because right now I'm paying $600 a month. I think I can put an additional like $1,500 now that I'm not putting it towards the 401k.
You make $195,000.
There should be like $5 or $6, $7 grand freed up here.
Yeah, your student loans. What are you spending money on?
Well, I also have a mortgage.
How much?
Well, it's not that. It's well, the $50,000 I paid was actually because I took out like a piggyback mortgage for when I bought the condo, which was to pay for the down payment. So now that's out of the way, and now my mortgage is like $1,830.
But you're bringing home about $10 grand a month or so. Now that you've paused investing.
Yeah, and I also have it's a condo, so the homeowners association fees are like a little over $1,000, which.
You have a monthly association fee of $1,000 in Miami?
Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious. Welcome to Miami indeed.
For real.
Okay,
that's most people's rent.
But still,
yeah.
Here's what I would love to see you do. And I'm saying this because I think am probably the person who loves lawyers the most in this country who's not an attorney, because I spent so much time working.
You're the only one.
I mean, people who talk bad about it, you guys just show up when people need somebody in their corner, and so you're a gift. There's idiots in every industry, but I also know that you're trained to overanalyze things and to be overly analytical and to second guess your second guesses and then third guess those guesses. Right? And then to also seek counsel. That's the whole gig. And so you're going to get 40 different strong opinions from 40 different people.
Exactly.
What if instead of doing all that, you said, I will find $7,000 a month and pay this car off in 2 months? Could you look at your take home and literally not go out, not go to a restaurant, pay the minimums on your mortgage, pay the minimums on your association fees, whatever those are, and scratch and claw for 60 days and have no car payment and have one big debt left? Could you do that?
I don't know. I think I could. I also want to, because I never know.
Hold on. You're lawyering me now. Just answer the question.
I think so. You said $7,000 a month is what it would take.
Could you do that?
Yeah, I think so. I have to look at.
I think you can figure it out, even if you have to take a case on the side or pick up an extra case or go mow some lawns and drive Uber or something. And I know you're like, I make $200,000 a year. I'm not driving Uber. It might be that moment. Here's why. I would love for you to look up in May and have no car payment, none, and then you'll have proven to yourself, I'm Brittany, I can do anything.
And instead of I think so, we're going to make it a no so, because I'm going to give you every dollar and FPU. You're going to be doing a monthly budget on paper. You're going to see all these numbers. You're going to figure out ways to shave to get more money thrown at that debt. And I want you to call us back when you're debt free. Thanks so much for the call.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney this hour. The number to call to ask your question is 888-825-5225. Jane joins us up next in Lawton, Oklahoma. Jane, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. How can we help you today?
Oh, okay, so this is tough. So I've been married about 2 years, and before we got married, I agreed to not sharing the bank account. I understood his reservations. I do have a full-time job. All right. And a couple of months ago, I thought, well, maybe I really do need to learn to manage my finances better because according to him, I haven't proven that I know how to manage money. And I started listening to the Dave Ramsey Show because I thought that, I knew of the Ramsey Network, and I have realized that my problems are a lot more intense than than just a financial disagreement or a communication issue. He's gone half of the time with his job, and he doesn't leave. He will not give me money for groceries, any necessities. Anytime I bring that up, he tells me I need to manage my money better.
Do you have a debit card?
Do I have a debit card?
Yeah, how much money, control and access does he give you to money?
Oh, zero.
So you can't spend a dime if you even wanted to?
No, I mean, I have my my paycheck, but that's it.
Okay. And you're working full-time?
Yes.
Do you have any kids?
But, I have one daughter.
How old is she?
10.
Okay. Is he the dad?
No.
Okay. Are you safe?
Yeah. Physically, yes.
All right, I'm going to trust you. The data suggests that guys who act like this are physically abusive as well. And I would even go as far to say maybe hasn't thrown a punch, but has created a world that is so unsafe for your body that it shuts itself down and tries to get small because there's a bear living in that house.
Yeah, I've been through some pretty traumatic things in my life, but on paper that would be way worse than this. I've never had a panic attack until recently, so I know full on panic attack.
Okay.
And I know, I'm educated enough to know that, your body starts to do things when
it's trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
Right. So what's keeping you there?
Well, I did make a vow to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that seriously. But, I have a couple of $1,000s in debt now that I didn't have before because I have to put gas and groceries on credit cards sometimes.
Do you know?
And he makes about 4 times what I do.
Sure. I don't want to weave this back and forth into a finance situation then out of a finance situation. You're in an extremely toxic environment. You're in an unsafe environment. And if we haven't crossed lines yet, we will at some point. And when the way you started the call, he told me I haven't proven just those words alone let me know this is very much a father-daughter relationship. Far more than it's a husband and wife creating a future together.
Right. I mean, if he does control everything. I mean, not just money. And if something's not done the way he wants it done, I mean, he will threaten to put me out.
Gosh, why?
I mean, trivial stuff like that's not
besides
being
the
made.
vow, which I mean, this doesn't sound like a marriage. If you just hearing you say this out loud, just sounds like toxic roommate situation. What is he actually signing up for when he signed up for this marriage?
I have recently asked him that, and I mean, he was like, "Well, I married you because I love you." But
is this love?
I don't think love should feel like this.
It does not. This is control. This is power. And this is I'm speaking on behalf of John Deloney, not on behalf of the Ramsey Network here. And so I take a much broader view of the word fidelity. I think you can cheat on somebody and never sleep with another person. But if you steal from somebody their dignity and their autonomy and their ability to have feelings and thoughts and a partnership in a relationship, that's not fidelity, right? You are cheating that person out of their life. You're cheating that person out of connection, okay? And so I take a much broader view. I think, and some people are very narrow, like you got to have sex with somebody else, otherwise it's not cheating. I have a much broader view than that. But I'm listening to my sister Jane here, and you're slowly drowning, and you know it, and your body's trying to get your attention. And so I guess what George and I are asking you, two guys who love our wives, and we're not perfect, man, but I'm trying to sit across the table from you and say, what are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you staying? What's the hook? You got a couple $1,000. Who cares? You're too tough and resilient and brave. You'll have that paid off in no time. Like something else is here. Like, what's the hook? Why are we staying?
I mean, I don't know that I could. Well, I mean, some of it's like I want to say that, like, I gave my all.
I don't think you're being allowed to give your all, because the person you're connected to is saying, you can take your all and flush it down the toilet. Go make the bed the right way.
Yeah.
Are you scared to leave? What would be the repercussions if you said, hey, I'm out?
I mean, I just want a stable life for my child.
This is not it. Your child is absorbing, top to bottom, what love looks like, what marriage looks like, what equality looks like. Absorbing it into their DNA. Now, I will never, unless somebody is being physically assaulted, I'm not going to tell somebody they need to leave their marriage. I've often told people you need to get to where you are safe, and we may need to take a structured 30-day break. I'm going to go move in with a friend for 30 days. We're going to be very clear on when I come back, what the conditions of coming back are going to be. But, and again, you and I, you got to make this choice. You're an adult.
I don't see that going over well.
Do you see your current situation going over well?
Well, I probably wouldn't have reached out to you guys.
I know. And I hope you hear that we love you. I'm worried about you.
Neither options are easy. Let's just make that very clear. Staying is really hard, and leaving is going to be hard. But one leads you to where you're free, and that your daughter's safe, and you're safe, and you can get to a better place financially instead of living in this prison. And we just want what's best for Jane.
Yeah. I'm scared to make a decision.
Yeah.
And
do you have people that you know and trust that can sit with you and hear the entirety of the story?
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you opened up? Do they know?
Yeah.
What do they tell you?
to leave.
Okay.
If your friend was in this situation, what would you tell her?
I mean, I never imagined myself in this situation.
That's what makes these abusive situations so surreal, because it's like there's no way that's happening. I've heard that over and over. That there's no way this is happening to me, and it may even be in your case happening again, right?
Yeah, I've never experienced anything quite like this. But I'm just scared of. I'm really just. I don't know what. I mean, I know what I need to do. But
here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach out to a couple of friends. To reach out to a local counselor in your community. Not to go, quote unquote, get well right now, but you need someone that's going to walk alongside you as you have a very challenging road ahead of you. Whether you stay and try to figure out how to make this thing work, or you decide to create an alternative life outside of this relationship. But listen, you're worth being well.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 40% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com for more information.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Dr. John Deloney. If you are tuning in, the last segment, we talked to Jane in Oklahoma going through a really dark, financially abusive situation, and just wanted to update you guys that we have connected her with one of our in-house financial coaches that can walk with her for an extended period of time and make sure that she's okay. But I know
also has some direct inroads to some resources there in their local community. My heart's broken for her. So.
Ugh. All right.
So much there.
Well,
let's do the question of the day.
Let's get to it, John. That'll bring some levity to this show. Today's question comes from Peter in California, and I'm told by our producer, James, this is a real question. I just want to preface that. We didn't make this up. Peter says, I'm a citizen of California, and I just thought of an ingenious way any U.S. adult citizen may be able to come up with millions of dollars, and I want to see if you think it would be a dumb idea.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
Probably a dumb idea.
Well, let's hear his hypothetical $1 million ingenious scheme. The idea is to build a great credit score, then open a credit card with all 4,236 banks in the U.S. You would already need to be making payments on a house and own a car, so you wouldn't need credit anymore. Then you simply max out all 4,236 credit cards by cash advancing to the max on every card with how many ever ATMs it takes. This would leave you with almost $22 million in cold hard cash. If, for example, the max on each card was $5,000, you would just need to make sure the bank your house is in doesn't have a credit card on it. I understand you can't be criminally prosecuted for consumer debt, and they can't even come after you at all after 6 years, but they can try pushing a lawsuit against you. Is this a dumb idea or truly ingenious?
If anyone wonders, how's our public schools doing these days? Let this be Exhibit A for not great.
What are they teaching in California?
This is the result of teach to the test.
I don't know
here,
if
guys.
this guy...
Teach to the test.
Do you think this is like an 18-year-old, or is this like an older guy who hatched another plan.
In all honesty, we get a lot of grief for oversimplifying things and for, talking down to people. Like, we just make everything so simple. This is why. These are questions that we get. These are questions.
Okay. So we're going to try to explain it. Again, we are not experts on the banking industry and on credit card, how the inner workings of that. But I'll tell you what we do know, John.
That's what we do know.
This won't work even if you wanted it to.
Not even close. And if it did, you wouldn't want it. So, number one, all 4,236 banks, I'm just using Peter's number. I don't know if that's how many banks there are. Only a few of them actually issue cards, and many banks that do issue cards issue them through other banks. They're a pass-through. So all 4,236 banks in the U.S. are not issuing credit cards. They might issue a line of credit to a particular person, or they might issue a debit card. That's just your own money. So that's problem number one. Number two, very few cards, if any, will let you take out the full cash advance amount. And so
if your credit limit's $5,000, you can't take out $5,000 in cash advance. It might be like $1,500.
There you go. And after you took out the fourth card or the fifth card, every time you take out a credit card, they pull your credit. They run a credit report. At some point, the bank's going to go, no.
This guy's got 48 cards open.
This guy's trying to open 4,000. A bunch of cards. His ability to get himself into trouble is now gone 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, 35, up to $22 million.
And here's the even stupider part.
They're not going to do that.
That cash advance that you took out on that card has a higher interest rate. So even if you hypothetically had $22 million in cash, you now owe 20-something% on $22 million.
But he's saying, I don't care. After 6 years, it'll just all go away.
Oh, boy. Well, aside from integrity and fraud, this is fraught with stupidity, if nothing else. Just get a freaking job, dude.
And I do like
trying to hack the system.
That you use the word fraught.
Fraught.
That's some angry Boston right there.
I've been hanging out with Ken Coleman. All those $10 words finally rubbed off on me. Man, okay. Well, that hurts
Peter,
my brain.
Good job. Literally, good job.
Yeah. If you use this kind of mental gymnastics on something for good, you could be like the next Elon Musk.
Exactly. And senators and House of Representatives, can we please get serious about fixing the U.S. education system, because it's dysfunctional,
and the U.S. credit system and debt system, which is the most marketed product in the world, and America is number one at debt. Like no other country.
We're the best!
I just heard a clip from Dax Shepard's podcast, and one of the actors on there was like, I'm in New Zealand, there's no credit score. Like we can't, I came to America and they're like, here's debt. You need to take out debt. You got to build a credit score. And even he was like, this is insane. Why are we doing? So he's like, I just keep spending because they tell me I need to spend. Like he doesn't even understand it.
Well, hey, we are the best at that.
America's number one at a lot of things, and debt is at the top of that list. So, hey, gold stars.
Way to go, America.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, that's job security for us, John. We'll be helping out. We'll be helping out Peter when he calls in and says, I'm $22 million in credit card debt. Please help. I thought it was going to be an awesome scheme.
Well,
all right.
You can't go inside of a restaurant for the next 1,400 years, Peter.
Well, the good news is,
John, this sounds like it could have been your idea 15 years ago.
100. This is why I'm so sad, because I've actually sat down on a piece of paper and been like, hey, I think I've got a plan.
Goodness. All right. Well, whoever our next caller is definitely smarter than Peter. So looking forward to talking to Jasmine.
That's a low bar.
Jasmine in Long Island. Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Save the show, Jasmine. Save the show.
Hi. So I've actually been on the show before.
Welcome
for
back.
my own personal issue, but thank you. But this time I'm calling back on behalf of my mom. So I've been tackling. I'm a babysit too. I'm doing Financial Peace University, and we just finished off the insurance one, which is very interesting because I didn't know a lot of I didn't know anything about insurance, really.
I agree. Underrated lesson. Very important stuff.
Yeah. So my mom, she is 51, and she's on Medicare. She has epilepsy, and she's able to work. It's nothing too severe, but her medicine takes up a lot of her income. It's probably like $200 a bottle every month. She has 3 bottles. So she basically is living paycheck to paycheck because she can't work. She can't work overtime. She can only work a certain amount. She can't have too much of an income. And I really want to help her kind of, with me being in my journey, I want to kind of help her out and guiding her on how she can kind of be liberated from this. I don't want her to have to be living paycheck to paycheck for the rest of her life, and she doesn't know what to do, and kind of neither do I. So I kind of want to see how I can really go about it. Because I know that health insurance can pay for it, but I don't really know.
So she's limited in income due to Medicare. But you're saying, hey, if she, let's say she doesn't take Medicare, she earns more than that, she wouldn't be able to afford health insurance at that point.
Yeah, so she, like, my thing is, okay, if she can work more, she can get regular health insurance that will be able to have some policy for her medicine. She still has to pay for health insurance, but she'll be able to make more and be able to save and kind of budget out her medicine with her rent and all that
yes.
stuff.
So it's saying, hey, if we get off the government assistance and we're able to work more, we might be able to afford this. And that's the kind of conundrum you're here for.
Yeah.
Have y'all looked to shop some of these at our friend Mark Cuban's Cost Plus Pharmacy or Rx.com and see if there's an opportunity for some of these assistance programs to lower the cost of drugs? I don't know of the particular ones in Long Island, but I know that they've got programs at the county level, at the city level, at the state level, at the federal level, and then they've got these new pharmacies that are coming online that are designed entirely for people in your mom's situation.
Okay.
There's also
I don't know, but
the Epilepsy Foundation. They have assistants that can provide free or low-cost medication as well. So I think just start doing your homework, start crunching the numbers, and see what makes sense. But
check on Cost Plus Drug Company.
Yes.
That's Mark's, and he's a trustworthy guy. And check out Rx.com, too.
But we're wishing you guys the best and hoping that if she can get off that government assistance and have a better life because of it, I am all for that. This is The Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney this hour. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Well, every time you hear someone do their debt-free scream on this show, it's because they finally reached a point where they said, I've had it. I'm not living like this anymore. And when you get to that place, that is when your life will change too. A lot of you out there are scared to death. You're overwhelmed because your money problems feel too big to solve. But you can be in control of your money, and it starts when you draw that line in the sand and you decide to make some radical changes. You've got to rethink how you handle your money. And we'll show you exactly how to do that in Financial Peace University. This is our flagship 9-week money course where you will learn step-by-step the plan on how to beat debt, how to build real, lasting wealth. Nearly 10 million people have changed their lives with FPU. I'm included in that bunch, and lots of them have ended up right here on our debt-free stage, and you can do it too. Don't go another day feeling scared and out of control. Just say, I've had it, and take back control. You can start Financial Peace University at RamseySolutions.com/FPU. That's RamseySolutions.com/FPU. Mary is up next in Scottsdale. Mary, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Absolutely. How can we help?
I'm just calling in. We are in baby step 2, and we've been working for quite a while trying to get out of debt, but the medical bills keep rolling in. And we have a couple of kids that have some medical challenges, and we are looking at about another $100,000 in medical bills this year.
Good grief.
And I'm just trying to figure out, we're in our late 40s and early 50s, and just trying to figure out, like, if we're ever going to be able to start saving for retirement, because we can't, we're trying to follow the baby steps and not start that until after we finish paying off our debts. But the debts just don't ever.
Stop. What are the nature of the medical challenges?
Well, a couple of our kids have had some different things going on, but right now the biggest thing is our youngest son has some mental health challenges.
Okay.
And I had to stop working for a while to stay home with him, and then that kind of perpetuated some of our debt. And then we just have some treatments that he has to have coming up that are going to cost quite a bit of money, even with the insurance that we have.
It's $100,000 in addition to your insurance?
Yeah. It's questionable.
Is it basically not covered by insurance? Because there should be an out-of-pocket max.
Our insurance doesn't cover.
Go ahead.
Our insurance doesn't cover mental health. A lot of the mental health parts.
Have you looked into other insurance options that might cover it, that could bring these bills down?
No, we haven't.
Is there a cash pay option that would make it cheaper?
No, this is the cash pay option. It's a different treatment throughout the year. So.
I'm so sorry.
So I normally I would dig in a little bit further, but I can tell that you want to keep this surface level. Am I right? And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in order to preserve anonymity, I mean, the tough answer that we have for you is, Rick, whether it's a roof that has to be replaced, or really challenging medical expenses coming up, or the birth of a new kid, or a car that's failing, all of those things we're going to look down the road and say, okay, what's coming our way and how much is that going to cost? And is there anything we can do to mitigate that cost? And when we figure out, after we've exhausted anything we can do, then we just have to as hard as this is, we have to just own reality. Here's how much we make. Here's how much we bring home in this house. And here's how much this is going to cost. And we're going to have to adjust our lifestyle. We're going to have to adjust our retirement planning to deal with what's right in front of us. And it feels, while you're in the middle of it, like, here's what you sound like. You sound exhausted. And it almost sounds like your question is existential more than it is mathematical. Like, how long do I have to keep doing this? Is that fair?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Just as a dad of two kids, I'm heartbroken for you.
Thank you.
Mary, what's y'all's income household?
It's about $175,000.
Okay, and what other debt do you have outside of medical expenses?
We just have a small credit card that needs to be paid off. Yeah.
Did you knock out the card this month?
So, no.
Okay.
But I mean, with all of the medical bills and the medical costs, because we have medications that have to be paid for. Anyway, we have $50,000 in mostly medical bills, and then a small amount of the credit card, we don't use anymore. We don't use that at all anymore.
Okay. Well, I think your best shot at dealing with this is not having any debt outside of trying to deal with these medical bills. And so that's what my A1 would be if I'm in your shoes. Let's get rid of these credit cards. Let's cut them up, close the accounts. Let's focus on trying to cash flow as much of this health stuff as possible. Let's be in tight communication with the hospitals and the doctors and the billing departments, you better know them by first name and go, hey, we're trying. We can't pay this right now. What does this look like? And worst case scenario, down the line, you can't pay it. We negotiate these. They go to collections. You got to just take care of your family right now and tell them to kick rocks and pound sand if they start calling you.
Sometimes medical, again, I'm trying to be respectful and at the same time trying to help out best I can. Is part of this cost some sort of specialized addiction treatment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would be really intentional about saying, okay, we might not be able to afford place X in place Y, or we might not be able to afford, there's disorder eating clinics that are basically concierge services that are second to none, that everybody's got an individualized counselor and psychologist and physiologist and nutritionist. And then there's some that are going to be more group oriented that are going to be lower cost. It may be that we want the best here. We want the gold diamond standard, and we're just not going to be able to do it this time. We're going to have to go with one that we can afford. So maybe instead of a $100,000 treatment, maybe it is a $40,000 treatment, or maybe it's a $50,000, whatever that looks like for you all. And I know that you guys have been down that road, but I do think there's some hard conversations to be had around just because it's the most expensive doesn't always mean it's the best. And just because it is less expensive doesn't mean it's cheap. Doesn't mean it's no good. And I would really explore some of those options, even if they take you out of Scottsdale and they take one of you and your kid, or just your kid by themselves for the duration of the treatment time, to another place. But I think it's worth exploring every possible option and not just saying we have to have the Cadillac in this situation. And George, that's hard because this is your kid. And I want to do the best of the best of the best of the best for my kids. And I think the assumption is anything less than the best of the best of the best is somehow inferior.
I'm a bad parent and I'm
or
hurting
not
my
good.
child.
That's right. And it's just inaccurate.
Well, I have so much empathy. Out of all the types of debt you can find yourself in, so much empathy for medical debt. No one's asking to bring on medical debt.
That's right.
And so my heart goes out to Mary and hoping the best. This is not a long-term thing, that we get through this season, then we have a pile of debt, we clean it up, we have a great income, and we can move forward with our lives and retire one day. So we're cheering you on, Mary. Thanks so much for the call and trusting us with this situation. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to my co-host, Dr. John Deloney, all the guys in the booth, and you, America. We appreciate you listening. Until next time, spend wisely, save intentionally, and give generously.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm here with my good friend, Dr. John Deloney, and we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Let's kick off this hour with our friend Matthew across the line there over in Canada yonder ways.
Matthew Cross?
Across the line.
Across the line. Across the country.
There's no pond there, so I had to say line. I didn't know how to say it. Matthew, welcome to the show. I'm sorry that I exist.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're doing well.
Good.
How can we help today?
Okay, so before I ask my question, there's a bit of context that I got to give.
Hit us.
I'm 16 years old. I work full-time, and I do that on a part-time schedule. So I'm doing 12 to 13 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week, because I'm still in school full-time.
Oh, so by part-time, you just mean you're not doing this 5 days a week?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I was like, what kind of life hack is this? So you're working full-time, part-time?
Yeah.
But I got it.
But anyway, I pay for most of my own stuff. I bought my own car. I pay for my insurance, my gas, my phone plan, a lot of my own food, even especially on the days where I'm working. And on top of this, my parents have decided that it's fair to charge 15% of my income as a rent or tax or whatever you want to call it. Now, you guys are smarter than me. You don't have anything in this, so I'd like to know whether or not you think that's fair or I'm just overreacting and thinking that it isn't.
So how much do they want to charge you?
It's 15% of my income, so this month it'll be close to $500.
And you're 16?
16.
I don't know what the laws are in Canada, but I don't think in America you would have legal standing to charge a minor rent.
I don't think it is legal, but you know,
what's the motive behind it? Have you just had a conversation with them and say, "Hey, what's going on here? Why all of a sudden do you want rent money? Like, are they broke? Do they need money?"
No, it's kind of interesting because for my dad, he says it is about the money. He says it's not fair that he should be the only person to provide for the family when he has working children, right?
He made you. Hold on. You're here because of him. You didn't ask to be here. He brought you into the world.
Yeah.
You should tell him.
Job.
You should say, well, if it isn't the consequences of your actions, Dad.
So that's my dad's side. And the reason he thinks that's fair is because when he was a kid, he had to pay 50% of his income.
Oh, right. And he probably had to walk up and down uphill nude in the snow to school both ways. Like, whatever. Like, good grief.
Okay. And then there's my mother. She has a slightly different side. She doesn't think that it's about the money. It's about, according to her, real life, there's rent, there's expenses and whatnot, and this is real life. So this is what we're teaching you.
All right. So let me push back on that for our general audience. There was a great camp, right? Camp was a name for a mixed martial arts school called Shoot-A-Box out of Brazil. And they had some of the greatest fighters in the world. Vanderlei Silva was out of there. Shogun, who was out there. I mean, it was just the who's who. And they were known for having practices where they just beat the tar out of each other. They would do really intense workouts. They'd do really intense physical training. But they would just fight every day. And they were known for being the most intense fighters in the ring. Maniacal. Like, they would win fights before they even got in there. And I never missed a Shogun fight. I never missed a Vanderlei Silva fight. I never missed shoot-box fights because they were so entertaining to watch. They were just insane. And those guys' career was significantly curtailed because the idea was, you're going to get hit in the ring, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit you a bunch before you get in the ring, and that's going to make you better in the ring. And that works for a very short window of time until all that cumulative damage makes you where you can't even climb up in the ring anymore. And now, 15, 20 years later, almost all of the gyms have very limited full-on contact sparring. They save the hits for the gym. And so I am sick of parents saying, well, I'm going to hit you now because the world's going to hit you later, as though that's going to help you later. What I want to do is give you a context, what love looks like and connectivity looks like, so when the world hits you in the face, you are anchored into something way stronger. And I'm not talking about making soft, weak kids. That's not it at all. But we don't have to go all the way over here where I'm going to start charging you rent now because one day it's going to charge you rent. They're going to show you how. You clearly, Matthew, are light years ahead of people your own age. I don't know any 16-year-olds who are where you're at right now.
Paying cash for their cars, covering their own gas and insurance,
buying their own meals. So the idea that go ahead.
I did actually borrow money from my sister to buy my car, but I did pay her off 2 days ago, actually.
Okay,
so.
Good.
So here's the other side of this. There's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so here's where this breaks my heart, is the moment you turn 18, you're probably gone, and they will have lost the relationship and influence with their son, and I hope that it's not too late for them. But if I'm you, I'm probably going to wait. I'm going to bide my time until I'm 18, and then they won't ever see me again. I'm out of here. And I hate that for all of y'all because it's just not healthy or good for anybody. But that's the world they're creating. And I don't know that you have another option unless you're going to move out at 16, which I don't know that that's a wise deal too.
Are you in high school right now?
Yeah, I am.
I mean, you're an impressive kid. I would just be proud if I was your parents.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. The other side of this is you go, all right, I'll just stop working. And what happens then? They have to cover all of your bills, plus they get $0 in rent?
Yeah, I would say it sounds
happen?
a lot like the Canadian government, which is going to penalize you for the better you do, right? They're just going to keep penalizing you more and more.
What if you said, hey, I really want to focus on school, Dad. I'm not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
And I need money to cover all these bills. What would they say?
They would just cut off everything.
You wouldn't have a car anymore. You wouldn't have a phone. You wouldn't have gas. You'd get $0.
Yes.
Do you help out around the house, taking care of the house?
I try to, but not usually, which is another reason why they say they charge it. Because, like I said, I'm gone from when the sun comes up to everybody's in bed when I get home.
Because you're in school and working your tail off.
Yeah, exactly.
This whole thing just feels arbitrary to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a few conversations with them to get to the heart of what this really is about. Because if it's just like, I'm going to financially abuse you because that's what my dad did and it made me the man I am today, that's just bad parenting.
It's just
to put that on your
sorry,
kids.
man. I'm sorry. I can't think of. They should be cheering you on until they are hoarse, and I'm sorry that they're penalizing you for being a go-getter. And I hope this doesn't ruin your relationship long term, man, because y'all gonna need each other down the road. But I'm just heartbroken for you, my man.
Absolutely.
But you're a minor. You live in their house, and it's their rules.
Thanks for the call, man. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Dr. John Deloney. If you like this show, which I assume you do if you're still listening, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing this show with friends. That is how we continue to make an impact on this toxic culture we are up against every day, and we so appreciate all of you who have already subscribed and left reviews and shared it with so many people. So, John, a video stumbled across my page from producer James, and I thought it was a great video for both of us to talk about.
Okay.
And it's with the very intelligent Dr. Jordan Peterson on an interview he did on some guy's YouTube channel.
Great.
Who has like a bajillion followers.
Let's do it.
Not some guy. So I wanted you to play this clip and get your take on it.
Let's do it.
You know, because people say, I'd be happy if I had $400 million. It's like, you think you could handle that responsibility, do you? Like, you're so sure of that all of a sudden you'd have all this money dumped on your... You can't even control your household budget. Mm-hmm. You live from paycheck to paycheck. Now somebody's going to dump a treasure on your steps, and that's going to fix your life. It's like, okay, how much are you going to give to your relatives? Mm-hmm. Like none? Mm-hmm. Oh, that'll work out real well. Too much? So then you're going to take away their responsibility from them, are you? Mm-hmm. And you're going to get that balance exactly right. And then what are you going to do with that money? Because as soon as you got the money, the parasites are going to come in and take your money.
Yeah.
And it happens unbelievably quickly.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see, well, the average family fortune lasts 3 generations. Mm-hmm. That's all. Because money sitting around, not being carefully monitored, it's like water. It just disappears.
It's happened to me.
Mm.
Yeah, man, here's my initial thoughts on that, George. One is, I would say this is a cultural issue, but I think it's as old as time. This idea that happiness is over there. Joy and satisfaction is somewhere where I'm not. And I always want to caveat that with, if you're struggling to eat financially, yes, happiness is where I'm not hungry, right? So there's some reality to that. If you're being abused or you're in a relationship, somebody's cheating on you or something, yes, happiness is not in this, right? But as he was saying, if I just had $1 million, if I just had $10 million, if I just had $100 million, then fill in the blank. And I think him calling those things out, it's not accurate. That's not true. Because as we all know, like wherever you go with you. And so you're going to be you with the same insecurities. You're just going to have $400 million to try to wallpaper and duct tape over it, man.
The numbers just get magnified.
And as the great Biggie Smalls said, more money, more problems, right?
That's true.
And there is a reality to that. There is some truth. You can buy a plane and get places faster, and you don't have to worry about food. Great. You have to worry about your dad saying, I'm never talking to you again. You have to worry about your brother coming out of the woods and saying, hey, give me this, and your cousin and that one friend you have. Like, it's the problems and challenges are just unique and different, but it all goes back to this core issue. Happiness and joy is where I'm not. And I think if you can find happiness and joy where you are, then as he said, that's an old biblical principle. Be trustworthy with a little, and you'll be trustworthy with a lot, and it rarely works in reverse.
Well, and I love your talk on how winning won't make you well. And I feel like so much of our society is just going, well, if I had more money, John, everything would be so much greater. And like you said, if you're like in a poverty situation, more money will change your situation for the better.
And anybody who says otherwise is lying.
And most people that hear this are not those people.
Right.
But they go, John, no, I'd take $400 million today. I think I could handle it. Dude,
I would too. And I would know it's going to come with some very significant challenges.
Yeah. And even change the numbers. 400 million is obviously an insane number.
Right.
But even take
$4 million.
$1 million.
Yep.
$500,000. And now you have the relationship issues because everyone feels like that's not fair that you got this. I should get a cut. I raised you. I'm your aunt. I'm your cousin. I need the money.
Don't you remember that time? Oh, you're too good for us now because it just changes stuff.
So there's two pieces of this equation. Number one is the contentment issue of going like, if I just had this over and it's over there. The other piece is a stewardship issue of going, why would you get more to manage when you can't manage what you already have?
Right.
And we're talking to, the middle class and above here. We're talking to the people who make 40, 50, 60, 250 grand and still live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And they're going, if I made more money, that's the problem. Inflation, John, the cost of eggs. I talked to a guy the other day. We did a man on the street, and he was like, well, how is anyone supposed to afford rent with cost of eggs? And I go, you're really going to sit here and blame eggs being $3 more as to why no one can get ahead in America.
Right.
And so there's a stewardship and contentment issue, and we say money makes you more of who you already are.
That's
right. It just magnifies.
It's a magnifier.
So if you're a broke person who's a jerk, you're just going to be a rich jerk later on in life. And if you're a generous person who doesn't have a lot, when you do have some, you're going to be a philanthropist.
Right.
And so it's an interesting, if you just said, a financial advisor, I saw this on Twitter, and it was a great exercise. They say, I like to ask my clients, this helps me know exactly where they're at. If you had 20 years and $10 million, what would you do? And just to see how they would spend that money, what they would do, helps get to the root of what they really value. And you've said, show me your bank account and your calendar, and I'll show you
what you think is important.
Yeah. And so money's just a tool.
Yeah.
It's not a moral issue. Money's amoral. It's like a brick. You can use it to build buildings or throw it through windows.
Right.
And so when you finally figure out how to use it as a tool for good, it changes the way we see money.
Yes. And if you were to look at my bank account, you would say, man, that guy really values guitars and gummy candies.
And that's okay. You're doing it debt-free, John. You want a good living.
Okay. It's not okay.
All right. Let's go to Yasmarie in Boston, my hometown. Yasmarie, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you. So my question is, I'm 15 years old, and I'm currently trying to save up for a car, and I have about $800 that I have saved, and my parents said that they will match whatever I end up saving.
Awesome.
And I'm just wondering whether I should put the money in a CD or in a high-yield savings account, and which way will help it grow faster over the next year and a half.
Love that question. Well, I'm a big fan of the high-yield savings account over the CD, and it's for a very simple reason. The money stays liquid. And if you needed that money for any reason, car or otherwise, you're going to be dinged with a penalty in that CD. And the other thing is, the CD has a fixed interest rate. So let's say the CD, it'll give you 4% right now. That's about what you'd get. Well, the problem is, what if your high-yield savings account goes to 5% because it's a variable rate? Well, now you're missing out because your money's locked up for the next 12 to 18 months in a CD instead of growing even more in that high-yield savings account.
Okay.
And let me also say this. It doesn't make all of that difference when we're talking about 1 year and a few $1,000s. That's the timeline we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
When would you be getting a car? How long from now?
So I can get my permit when I'm 16, so by December.
December of this
I'll
year.
be getting my permit. Yes, of this year I can get my permit.
So are you hoping to save up like $2,000 and then your parents are going to put in $2,000 and buy a $4,000 car or something like that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a reasonable car. The other thing, too, is I don't have a job, and I'm just trying to find some low-stress things I can do that won't interfere with my school and stuff.
Okay.
So we're talking evenings and weekends?
Yeah, probably. But I'm just not sure what types of jobs I could potentially get at 15 in this area.
I mean, I think retail and hospitality are great options. That's what I did at your age. I'd even work at the school that I was going to, even over the summer. I was kind of worked as an IT person, fixing updated computers. And so
I worked at Burger King for years. I mowed lawns and also worked for part-time with a landscape company. I also was a maintenance guy at a local church. And so I want to challenge all young people, unless you have some very clear personal challenges, don't look for a quote-unquote the lowest stress job. Go ahead and get a job where you can work really hard and shine the brightest, even when you're tired. And I think there's something that's really powerful about what you can discover about yourself in those positions.
I was a doctor's office receptionist at 15, and I was making $12 an hour. And I thought,
that was $1 million
I'm rich.
Back then.
I am rich, and I just worked, weekends.
I made $425.
But it was enough. And so start to look around your community and see, hey, what would pay the most and give me the most experience or whatever you're looking to do later in life, or just what would give me the best paycheck right now.
If you want to be an attorney someday, see if you can get a job just getting coffee in a legal shop, right? Or if something you may want to do, like work in a doctor's office if you want to go to med school someday.
And just set a goal and say, hey, I'm trying to save $3,000. My parents will match it. That'll get me to $6,000. And start researching, what kind of cars could I get for $6,000? And you'll be there in no time. And maybe you wait a little longer and save up even more. We're cheering you on. This is The Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Dr. John Deloney. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met a natural-born leader?
Whew, I thought you were going to say natural-born killer.
That's different.
Natural-born leader.
This one's rhetorical. No, you haven't. There's no such thing because leaders are built. They are not born. And the great thing about that is that you get to decide what kind of leader you're going to be. So if you want to take your leadership to the next level, join thousands of business leaders who have already grabbed their seats for Entree Leadership Summit. It's happening May 30th through June 2nd in Nashville, Tennessee. Right here in our hometown. You're going to learn from some of the best minds in business, leaders like Malcolm Gladwell, Dr. Jordan Peterson, Maneet Chauhan, Willie Robertson, and so many more. This is not a leadership conference you can afford to miss. It's a game changer for leaders and business owners, and it's why it's already almost sold out. So if you want to learn more about Entree Leadership Summit, just go to RamseySolutions.com/summit. That's RamseySolutions.com/summit.
Yeah, I went in, I was up in the Entree floor a little while ago, and they have a thermometer up there. It is almost sold out, man.
The energy on the Entree Leadership floor is electric.
Yes.
And they love nothing more than serving business owners and business leaders like you all. So looking forward to that event. John, you're going to be speaking there.
Yes.
Do you know what you're speaking about yet?
I do.
Oh, all right. I won't let the cat out of the bag.
Good.
But it's going to be good. You're always a favorite with that crowd.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
All right, let's get to the phones. 888-825-5225 is the number to call. Judy joins us in Denver. Judy, welcome to The Ramsey Show. How are you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
We're doing wonderful. How can we help today?
Yeah, so about 15 months ago, I was in a traumatic car accident. I work in the healthcare field. And I was a pedestrian going across the street, and I was hit by a car.
Oh, my gosh.
So
what happened?
So I have
What happened?
So I have a lot of injuries. I have a brain injury, a tibial plateau fracture in my knee.
Gosh.
My nose had to be realigned, and I have a lot of scars on my face and things like that, and so
I'm so sorry.
I'm on workman's comp right now, and I'm on light duty.
This happened while you were at the hospital.
On my way to work, yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. And how severe is the TBI?
What's that?
How severe is your brain injury?
It's not terrible. Okay. My biggest problem is being able to track, like up and down, and also to retain when I read something. Sometimes I can't remember what I read.
Just short-term memory. Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh,
so I don't have like dizziness and stuff like that, but I do have a lot of that effect. And I didn't, like, nothing affected. Just, like I can still move all my arms and all that stuff.
Sure. Ugh, I'm so sorry.
So how can we help today?
Well, I've been following you guys for quite a while, and unlike I think most of your followers, I paid cash for my house about 20 years ago.
Wow.
But I have a car payment, and I have the money there.
Judy, why do you have a car payment? Why do you have a car payment?
Because, well, when I got hit, I was in the process of trying to get it paid off. Like, I was picking up extra shifts and things like that. And
so what's left on the car?
So $12,000, and then I have $70,000 in savings, but I have a fear of because I'm on work comp that, I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to return to my old job and things like that.
Are you cleared to drive?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure you weren't paying on a depreciating asset that's just frozen in your driveway right now.
Is there any other financial implications of your accident? Was there a settlement, insurance check, anything like that?
None. That has not happened yet. I do have an attorney for both PI and for the work comp.
Okay. Do you have any disability insurance?
There will be eventually, but I'm not at MMI yet.
Okay. I'm still paying off this car.
I probably would pay it off too.
Because it frees up the payment, and that $12,000 swing wasn't going to be the thing that saved you anyways if you couldn't get back to your other life. But what will take the stress off is not having any payments. That's your only debt?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of having and I'm thinking about this purely for the mental stress. Having no rent, no car payment, and at least when it comes to nobody's going to be knocking on your door, depending on what happens next, except for the tax man, right? So,
and it still leaves you with $58,000 in savings and not a payment in the world other than your normal bills.
Okay.
Is your salary the same as it was, even though you're only on light duty?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't get. The only difference is I was working nights, and I was getting anywhere between $250 and $375 extra, but because we were doing crisis pay at the time of the accident, I was getting about $23 extra per hour. So
okay, some of that should be, or all of that should be considered as part of the final settlement, because the idea of a settlement is we're going to make you whole, and whole Judy worked crisis shifts at night and made jillions of dollars. Judy now, who's got an iron knee and a brand new beautiful nose, is not able to work those shifts, right? So that's the point of the settlement, is to help make Judy whole. And so I would begin. I don't want to say anything negative about anybody, but if I'm not mistaken, my guess is people have been really, really, really nice to you, very kind and very accommodating and very friendly, and I don't want that to cloud your ability to say, okay, here's my life's gonna be like in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Let's go ahead and have some of these uncomfortable, hard conversations now. or as soon as we get medical clearance where the doctors say this is about as good as this is going to get, or this is going to be the way this is for the next 5 to 10 years. It can be hard to engage in those conversations after your coworkers have been so kind. But if there's some fault there, man, we need to go ahead and have those conversations sooner rather than later.
Well, I don't think you're going to regret paying off that car today.
I'm heartbroken for you.
And the best thing you can do is just try to get better and get back to what you were doing. And I cannot imagine going through a traumatic accident like that.
And George, I can tell you that one of the things that makes us bananas with anxiety is when you get literally hit by a car walking on your way to work, right? The last thing in the world you would think would happen. That little what if voice gets really loud. Well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And for those of us who haven't experienced that kind of trauma, it's easy to say it's not going to happen. She can't say that anymore because for her, it did happen. And so when her body is sounding those alarms are real and they are sounding for a reason. You then have to say, okay, yeah, that could happen. I could pay this car off and all of a sudden all these crazy things happen and I only have $58,000 left and to make do with the rest of my life. That could happen. But it probably won't. But the probably won't, that sentence gave me more peace, and I've seen it give people peace. Like, yeah, you're right. We could get hit by a meteorite. You're right. We could all just be trading Bitcoin, and we all missed it. We all missed it. But probably not.
Well, those are 2 volume knobs, and we tend to turn the other one real loud.
Right, real loud. I like that.
I mean, have you seen the news, John? Everything's imploding. The stock market's going to go down to 0.
Or probably not. Probably not. Probably not.
Well, it's a nice reminder that we have control over those dials. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, oh, just turn that off, John. It's not that hard.
It's wired into us.
It's a daily choice, sometimes a choice you make by the minute and by the hour, but it's worth doing for your own sanity and your own peace, financially, mentally, relationally.
We're with you, Judy. Thanks for calling.
Cheering you on in your recovery. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Dr. John Deloney. Our scripture of the day, Ecclesiastes 3:1. There's an opportune time to do things, a right time for everything on the earth. The great Robin Williams once said, change is not popular. We are creatures of habit as human beings. I want it to be the way it was. But if you continue the way it was, there will be no is. Now that's one to chew on right there, John. Very poetic. You'll get it tonight, around 11 p.m.
The gears are stuck.
That's classic John. Hey, that's what 2 PhDs gets you. All right, let's go to the phones. 888-825-5225. Serena joins us in Salt Lake City. Serena, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sure, how can we help today?
So my workplace wants to set me up with a credit card for travel and events, and I don't want to take it because I've never had one. So wondering, what do I do instead because I'm in baby step 3?
Do they want you to apply for one and get one, or do they want you to just give you a company card?
I think it's apply for one because it's like technically through American Express.
But it's a business card that's through the company, but it has your name on it? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it has my name on it. It would go on my credit score, which I don't care about, and I would have to just basically take receipts, and they would pay on the credit, I guess.
Okay. How often are you traveling for work?
Twice a year.
And that's what the card is for, or are there other expenses that are more regular?
No, just for like flights and hotels and stuff, and like during the event when I need to get food.
Well, couldn't they just book that for you ahead of time? Are you traveling with other people?
I am, and that's what we did last year, but basically they didn't like how complicated the process got, so they were hoping I would do it this way, or basically I could use my own money and they would reimburse me.
So you can use your own money?
Yeah, but since I'm in baby step 3, I'm hesitant to, I usually don't have the funds to cover how much that would cost.
Yeah, if you're talking, hey, it's $700 for this work trip, you're like, I don't have the funds to cover that.
So just to give you an insight into like when George and I travel, I'm doing this not to kick you while you're down. I want to give you and business leaders listening to this another alternative. George and I are going to go be on an event. We're going to catch a flight next week. The company will book the flight. The company will book the rental car. And then on our desk will be an envelope with cash in it that we're responsible for. And I've lost a receipt on the road, or I tip somebody a lot, and I've got to cover that cash, but I'm responsible for what cash is there. But the cash just is sitting on an envelope on our desk. And the idea, here's the deal. You're using your money either way. This is your credit card and your credit, and it's your butt's on the line here. And if your company decides to not pay you back, you're going to owe that credit card company the same as if you just use your own debit card and pay your own money. I hate that for you, that they've put you in this position. That's not your job to quote unquote reimburse.
What would they say if you just went to them and say, hey, I don't do credit cards. I'm not comfortable opening one. Is there a business debit card you could open for me? Or can you book it all and give me petty cash for the road? What would they say?
I didn't ask on the cash part, but I did ask about the debit card, and basically they gave me a weird look, like, why would I do a credit card? But I did talk to my manager, and once I explained to him how I've never had one, he understood that then that it was more like a value choice than just simply me being difficult.
Yeah.
And, but I had a feeling that their response was basically, okay, you'll have to use your own money and we'll just reimburse you. So I have a feeling that would be the response.
Well, when's your next trip?
June.
Okay. How long are you going to be in baby step 3 for?
Probably for a few more months.
Okay. Would they give you cash ahead of time? If you said, hey, here's what this is going to cost. Can you give me the cash ahead of time? I'll deposit it and I'll pay for it. Could that work?
I could ask.
It's an option. I just think there's always more than one option. And so if they're just like, well, that's the only way, there's a lot of ways. And people think we're crazy because there's literally not a credit card in this company. Dave only has a business debit card. We have a business debit card. We use petty cash on the road, and it works every time.
One of my favorite lines of Dave's, old Dave, is when people used to say, I can't believe you would ever give your employees a debit card with access to some of your company's checking accounts. And he said, he would always respond, I can't believe you would hire somebody that you don't like to carry your business to customers with your name on it, that you don't even trust with a couple of grand out of a checking account. Like, how would you hire somebody that you wouldn't trust that way? And so I don't know. I just hate that Serena's business has put her in this position. You pay for everything. We'll cover you. Mm-hmm. That's not your job, man. That's the business's job if you're doing business travel.
And if you travel with a coworker or a leader and they want to put it on their card since they're getting reimbursed, they can have more rewards. Good for them. Yeah. And you won't have to deal with this. So I would just look at every single option possible to get around this stupidity. Appreciate the call. All right, let's go to Jeremy in Louisiana. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are y'all?
We're doing great, man. What's going on?
So I was wanting to know, I'm about $31,725 in total debt.
Not that you're counting down to the
just
penny,
about.
Right?
Should I sell my 2013 Toyota Tundra with a 22.99% interest rate?
Oh, my gosh.
Which we can pay off I know. Which we can pay off in the next 4 months. After we get our tax return, we're getting about $2,500 back. I've only got $3,600 left on it.
What's it worth?
It's anywhere between 12 and 15. We're thinking.
And then if you sold that, you would net about 10 grand.
Well, I would probably do a private sale. So I'd probably get everything, and like you said,
So maybe 11 grand max, and then we have to turn around and get another car, right?
No, my wife has a car, and I also work for an insurance company, so I have a company truck that I can actually drive around as well.
So you don't even need
this thing. I just have to pay the mileage, Really, I don't. Because after we paid off the truck, we would we owe about $4,600 on my car. We've got some other credit cards and a bank loan. I mean, the most of the debt is my student loan, which is $20,825.
What's your household income?
Per month, we make $4,400 a month.
Okay. So if we
That's
sold
net.
this car, how much does it speed up our debt snowball?
Pretty much it takes out every debt but my student loan.
I'm taking that deal. You're freeing up all those payments. You didn't need the truck in the first place. And if you want another truck down the road, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it with cash instead of at 23% interest. Good gracious.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
It's a
Jeremy,
dumb
like,
decision, I know.
What do you do for a living?
So I was at the time when I bought the truck, I was a paramedic, and I just graduated paramedic school. So I said I need a truck, and I bought that stupid truck. But right now I'm a claims adjuster for an insurance company.
So you were smart enough to know blood types, how to stick needles in people, how to like shock them back to life,
basically.
how to do CPR.
Yeah.
And then you saw that 22%, and you're like, "This is a great idea.
That's a deal.
This is a great idea. That's a great idea."
Did the salesman have a straight face when they showed you that it's 23% interest? Like, how do you even deliver that news?
Very good. He totally had a straight face. Was like, "This is the best thing for y'all."
I bet he was like, "I've seen people who have higher interest rates than you, man. You're getting a deal." Did you just have terrible credit?
Yeah,
Like,
your credit must have been about as good as old dog poo. Like, how bad was your credit?
So, my credit at the time, I think, was about 650, and my wife had the co-sign, but she had a repossession on her credit.
Boy. God almighty, Jeremy.
That's a terrible rate.
I'm so glad you're. Listen, here's what we're gonna do. Because you're gonna sell this car by the end of this weekend, you're gonna be free. I'm gonna send you Every Dollar app for free for a year and the new FPU lessons. Because here's the deal, y'all need to watch them again. Y'all are kicking butt, taking names. But y'all need to watch him again.
You're one bad day away from another 23% car loan.
Dude,
if we're not careful here.
So hang on the line here, and Austin's going to hook you up with FPU. Y'all watch these videos together and remind yourself why you're doing this. And for God almighty, get rid of that truck.
I'd walk back into that car dealership and have some words once that thing's paid
I
off.
would not even go back in there again.
Just a thank you letter for teaching me something about life.
Thank you letter.
That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to Dr. John Deloney, all the guys in the booth, and you, America. Until next time, spend wisely, save intentionally, and give generously.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.